Haymitch's name was on both slips of paper.
Hold on. I have a point.
District 13 bombed the District 8 hospital.
Yeah.
No. 2 raging book nerds, 14 years of friendship, and 1 burning question.
If Katniss Everdeen posted on Reddit, would she be the arsehole?
Welcome to Once Upon a Red Flag. This season, we're stepping into Pan Am, where every tribute, tyrant, and mentor gets their day in the Am I the Asshole courtroom.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Rachel.
And join us while we read between the red flags and break down the Hunger Games, one questionable decision at a time. Okay, welcome back everybody to another week of mid-season content. We thought maybe it'd be 1 episode. It's now 2 episodes.
It's now 2 episodes.
It's another theory episode. We basically had so much fun with the first one that ran way over what we planned. And so now we split it into 2. So let's get into it, Rachel. I think the first theory is yours.
First theory this week is mine. So I found a theory that Katniss was accidentally hijacked to fall in love with Peeta.
Okay,
so we know that Peeta is hijacked using Tracker Venom to screw with his brain. So he tries to kill Katniss. Now, there is apparently a theory that when Katniss got stung in the first arena, she was accidentally hijacked with a combination of the venom and the trauma that she shared with Peeta in the arena or arenas, as the case may be. I have so many thoughts. What's your first reaction?
My first thought is that logically, it could have been possible. It could have been something that happened with the Tracker Jackers. But my reason is why. I guess if it's accidental, but how would that even happen accidentally? I think I need a bit more convincing or non-convincing, depending on how you're going with this.
I will tell you what I saw and how I feel about this theory in general. So, I do not believe this theory at all. But it was interesting to research because one of the reasons cited for this theory even existing in the first place was that some people felt like Katniss's feelings did a complete U-turn. Is that a bus?
It's a plane. I live in that airport.
It's a plane!
Apologies. Someone's going on their holidays. Quite jealous.
I'm actually quite jealous, yeah.
Back on track. Where were we?
Back on track, away from the airplanes. Yeah, I don't believe this theory at all. I don't. But it was interesting to research because one of the reasons that got cited for it is that apparently some people feel like Katniss's feelings for Peeta come out of nowhere. They feel like she was poised to go for Gale and then did a complete U-turn and went to Peeta. And I think we've proven that wasn't true. I think we've proven that Katniss has genuine feelings for Peeta that were developing all along, and that anytime she thought she would pick Gale wasn't spurred by actual romantic feelings. I think we've proven that it was before she went to the arena in the first place that she liked him or knew of him, because she noticed Peeta from the bread, the wrestling, she knew things about him and was aware of him in the hunky sense, as I called it, before the arena and Tracker Jackers. Now, I think there are 2 ways to take this theory. I believe neither of them, but I don't know what you think.
Okay.
The first way I could take this theory is that she got hit by the venom in the arena, and then the events in that arena, because of the star-crossed lovers thinking and the performance, they occur while the venom is still working its way out of her system, and it was influencing her in that way. The other way would be if she got hit with the venom in the arena, but the time frame of the hijacking itself lasts longer. So if that occurred over a considerable length of time, for example, there's still changes having gone in the brain, that'd probably be the initial arena and then the year after the doors in the arena. Now, my reasoning that I don't believe this. So I haven't done my in-depth analysis into Mockingjay at the time of filming this episode yet. But I was under the impression that it took multiple controlled hits of venom to hijack Peeta.
Yes.
Am I right with that?
Yes.
Once,
Over
Katniss
time.
being hit once feels like a bit of a stretch to me.
Yeah, for Peeta, it was multiple hits of chaka venom, and then like memories and trauma and torture over like a long period of time to like alter his memories and like his reality.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's particularly feasible that they could get Katniss to alter her feelings, her memories, or her way of thinking after like one attack, and then like nothing combined.
And it would
With
all just
that?
be like the arena itself. Like it could influence her nightmares potentially, because obviously she got hit with the hallucinogenic Tracker venom. That could then mean that she has worse nightmares than Peeta does, for example. But Haymitch has nightmares, so that doesn't even to me mean that the Tracker venom has had any influence on her emotional or mental state at all. Now, I also think if Katniss had been hijacked, surely none of the confusion then between Peeta and Gale makes sense anymore. She'd be even less likely to kiss Gale or entertain Gale in any way, because surely she would have then been like in the star-crossed lovers, I love Peeta mode, because you would effectively have tricked herself, having faked the relationship that she was with him and loved him, right?
I guess my question is, the people who believe this theory, when do they think the Tracker venom actually fully kicked in?
Yeah, and like how much of it even got into her system? Because like Rue shows Katniss how to get the venom out of her stings, and that eases them as well. So then there's less venom in her system to begin with that's caused the stings. And are we changing now how Tracker Jackers sting you? Because how they hijack Peeta, like I said, like he took multiple controlled doses, probably shot directly into his bloodstream, close to his brain.
Yeah.
Probably.
Sorry.
Yeah, like yeah, it's a bit like and then he probably underwent some pretty intense propaganda machine non-stop, days on end. He's probably like sleep tortured and sleep deprived as well for this to like psychologically affect him this much. And he has deep, deep feelings for Katniss. So he has obviously undergone a lot to change that core part of himself. Katniss was out of it for a lot less time when she was like, if we're doing the whole by her hallucinating and stuff like that. And then obviously Rue is helping to get rid of the venom, so she's got even less in there. Any hallucinations that Katniss was under while she was out cold are all her own manufacture. They're all her own brain. No alteration here was necessary. So I found it, and I found it interesting, but zero part of me believes that one. I don't know whether I've convinced you one way or the other, but
I think even if the Tracker venom had made her kind of want Peeta and fall in love with Peeta like that quick, like you said, they injected her with the Tracker venom, not on purpose, like through stings.
Yeah.
But then they didn't like, what's the word? They didn't like kind of make her watch propaganda or give her torture, torture
Extra
in like
torture
hands-on sense, and experiment on her like that. So if the Tracker venom did go into her, and then that somehow amplified her feelings for Peeta, wouldn't that just have to be something she was feeling anyway, or thinking anyway, or in her subconscious anyway?
Yeah, and I guess you could sort of say like she had the hallucination, if you want to call it that, of like Peeta saving her. Not a hallucination, Peeta did save her. But I also think we've dated her feelings to start before the stings. I think it's been like a niggle in her brain of, here's the cute boy, he's the one who survived, why would he help me survive? Oh, look, he wrestles. Okay. Like, even that bit of intrigue can be develops into feelings, right? So I don't think it's fair to be like, oh, she gets feelings for Peeta after the arena or during the arena either. I think it starts before that.
Yeah.
And don't forget, she has the whole like, he's betrayed me thing before the stings. So I know. I don't believe that one.
Are we moving on to the next theory?
Next theory. The Hunger Games serves a second purpose. The Hunger Games has a secondary purpose than what we know. So apparently it can also work for testing out the capacity for rebellion amongst each district. So apparently it's not just about keeping everyone under control. it can sort of figure out who's most likely to rebel and who would be good at it. Now, the post I saw with this talked about how if a tribute from a district did well against all odds, it could be an indicator that the district itself would have the capacity to rebel. Not necessarily the mentality, but the ability to successfully rebel because they have developed these skills. And it would warrant then harsher conditions and investigation. Now, I think I would like to take this theory further, and it's one of the ones that I think I do actually believe, but I also don't know if they're smart enough to figure it out. Because I think it would also then be useful to examine wider district reactions during reapings and like mandatory reviewing periods to then be used as rebellion potential indicators, I guess. But I'm not sure I believe that this was done purposely or set up like this purposely. I think it's a very good potential. It has a cracking theoretical application, but I don't think the makers, the game makers, or like the inventors of this Hunger Games concept would have ever thought of it in that sense.
Yeah, I can see how that would work. I can see how that would be
100%.
used. I can see how someone's got to that point, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I'm not. I don't think they would have really thought it through that much.
I don't think it's something that they do. I don't think it's something that they have planned on doing. I think it's something that they could very well have done. I think for example, if Suzanne Collins brought out another book in which they have people doing this, watching reactions, that is entirely plausible by all means. But I think it is a exploit of what they have already set up the system to be. I don't think it was ever intended. I think they were literally just out for vengeance originally.
Yeah.
And that's it.
No, I agree.
So theory, I guess 8 in total, because we have 10 theories across 2 episodes, but theory 3 for the day. During the third quarter quell reaping, Haymitch's name was on both slips of paper, guaranteeing Peeta would volunteer and be back in the arena. What do you think? First thoughts?
Okay, so I might agree with the fact that Hamish's name was on both slips, but I don't think it was for the same purpose this theory thinks it was, because I don't necessarily think they wanted Peeta back in the arena. I think it would have been harsher for them to see Peeta be a mentor for Katniss.
To Katniss.
And they want Hamish dead, right? Like after what he did for his games and in the second quarter quell, I think they would happily have gone him, given him, put him in the arena and killed him off. I think that would have been a perfect scenario for the Capitol.
Do you also not think though that Haymitch isn't really a player in the Capitol's minds because he is the drunkard?
I don't think they think. I don't think they think he's a risk. I don't think they think he'll incite any rebellion, but I still think Snow's pissed at him.
I think they'll get rid of him that way.
And I think he'll do whatever.
I agreed with all of this one. I thought it would be so Peeta would go back in. Because I think if the quarter quell, regardless of then who has rigged the quarter quell, because that's obviously a question here as well, is who's the person who rigged the reaping? Because if the quell's been rigged to put Katniss back in, and you want Katniss to cooperate, Peeta going in would be a way to control Katniss within the arena.
Hold on, I have a point. Okay,
but then, what's your point?
If Peeta and Katniss are going in and they want to control Katniss, so they put Peeta in to control Katniss, well, then one of them's going to die, right? And they're kind of a little bit more quote-unquote suicidal at this point. If you wanted Katniss to be controlled, wouldn't it make more sense for it to be Katniss and Haymitch and Peeta be outside the arena? Katniss doesn't know what's happening to Peeta, and then it's a situation for Katniss like in the first games where she didn't know if Prim and her mum were okay. Wouldn't that be scarier? You can't see Peeta. Haymitch is in there with her. He hasn't got another mentor outside. He's just got Effie. They could kind of do whatever they want to him, and then she's constantly thinking, "Oh, my actions in here could affect Peeta and get Peeta hurt." Wouldn't that be more of a controlling stance?
I take it to be you don't want Haymitch, who spoilers for Sunrise. You don't want Haymitch to team up with Beatty and Katniss, and because Beatty's convinced Haymitch to try and wreck the arena before. And then you've got Katniss, who's the leader of the rebel faction. Surely you want Katniss to be preoccupied trying to save Peeta's life. Peeta to be preoccupied trying to save Katniss's life. Arguably, if you get Peeta, Haymitch, and Katniss all together in one arena, are you not then just asking them to try and break out? Because then Katniss would want to get out for Peeta because she would see herself as being Peeta's protector. Because you have got them like Katniss is preoccupied at this point trying to keep Peeta alive. She isn't actively any part of the rebel plan. But obviously the Capitol has no idea about the rebel plan to begin with. But this is just if you're getting the Capitol to rig the reaping. Don't forget you've got Plutarch, who is technically a rebel and not Capitol. Now, if he's the one rigging this reaping...
Don't know, we have discussed before.
Yeah. Versus someone on the side of the Capitol, you do need Haymitch on the outside as the rebel like go-between for messages and things. Like, we know enough about Peeta's character to know he wouldn't live without Katniss. So even if Haymitch couldn't send a message to Plutarch to be like, hey, Peeta's gonna volunteer, then Plutarch could guess that Peeta would volunteer and then put Haymitch's name in the bowls, and then you've kept Haymitch outside. But then if we combine theories for a minute and we say it is Plutarch who's rigged this and they can pass messages, Peeta has kind of already admitted that if Haymitch gets drawn, he'll volunteer. Haymitch has told Katniss that he will go into the arena, but if his name is drawn, not Peeta's name, then Peeta will volunteer and Peeta will be going back in with Katniss. Katniss is going in anyway. So I think if we combine the passing messages theory of that's why Haymitch had his phone fixed and this rigging theory, it's very, very plausible because they need him on the outside and they need Katniss to play ball and just be where she's meant to be.
So I guess
the best of us have Peeta.
So I guess it depends who you think has put the names in the bowl. But either way, I agree that both of the names were Haymitch. But I guess it depends who you think put the names in the bowl or why they were both Haymitch's name.
It's quite a confusing theory in that sense. I feel like I've taught myself in circles with that. Like,
no,
if you manage to keep up with that, well done.
I think that's interesting. And I'd be intrigued other people's opinions, as I always am. But like, I am intrigued on people's opinions on why they think it might have been two Haymitch slips.
Do they think in the first place it was rigged? Which I think it is, personally. But then if it was rigged, why was it rigged? He rigged it.
Okay, moving on
also,
to the
thought,
yes,
right? Dangerous thoughts, yes. I'm not saying I believe this thought.
Okay.
I am just gonna float it out there.
Okay.
Effie's the one who picks the names out of the bowl, right?
Yeah.
And that's the same for every single district. A Capitol representative in every district picks the names out of the bowl. Does anyone check what name was picked out of the bowl?
Well, you think that Effie just said the name that she wanted it to be?
I'm thinking the potential, like, it's more that I'm questioning if it's possible. Because in that sense, you could not even need to like fill the bowl full of the same name. Say you wanted Beatty to be picked and Wares and Mags and Joanna. Could you not literally like, would you not even need to change the names in the bowls? Could you not just be like, representative, blank piece of paper, here's the name I'm picking today?
Interesting.
Because if it's a Capitol representative, the Capitol isn't going to demand that it is like adjudicated and like properly like vetted. They could just tell whoever the representative is, you're picking Beatty, you're picking Prim, you're picking Wares, Joanna's turn, Finnick's turn. Annie's turn. Let's put Annie and Finnick in together. And then you don't even need to rig the ball drawing. You can just pull a blank slip or pull any slip and change the name.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm.
Let us know what
I'm
you
more
think.
inclined to believe that, I think, than anything else.
Okay, so moving on to the next theory. This one is a spicy one. Gale knew the bombs he made would murder Prim, but he did it anyway. With Peeta captured by the Capitol and Prim now deceased, Katniss would have no one else to love besides Gale himself. Thought, it's gone quiet. I feel like I'm being judged. This was someone else's theory, to be fair. It's not mine, but I am slightly inclined to believe it.
Yeah, like that's not like an exhale of judgment about this theory. That's an exhale of judgment about Gale. Because, okay, so once again, I haven't fully carried out my Mockingjay deep dive reread yet, but I feel like he probably didn't know that it would murder Prim, but I feel like he's probably aware there's a pretty damn good chance.
Well, he probably knows Prim's going into the medical department of District 13.
Mm-hmm.
They know they'll be using this in warfare, and they know that their plan is probably to drop the bombs on Capital Kids and all this that always gets formulated. So surely you got to put two and two together and be like, oh my god, not only could this kill Prim, but this could also kill some of our own people.
Yeah, but they discuss this theory, right? They actually actively discuss the one bomb goes in, kills people, sends the aide running to help, and then a second goes into the same area, killing more people, but also now they've lost a good portion of their emergency services in the process. They have discussed this theory before it happens. They have. This wasn't I'm remembering that right. They discussed the theory, and Katniss is like, dude, that no.
Yeah, she's like, that's really messed up. What are you doing? That's not okay, basically.
And
Which
then
most
they
of us
did it.
should say.
And then Gale obviously knew Prim was a healer, like you said. So either he's really stupid, or he didn't care about that risk because people die in wartime. And I'm leaning towards the latter here. I'm leaning towards he does not care about the risk.
I think that'd be more of his attitude, because he's become that soldier. He's obviously we're not into Mockingjay yet, but we know he gets excited about being a good soldier and being recognized by Coin and all this sort of stuff. We know he's good at traps. We know he's good at snares. It's not a surprise that relates into bombs and into warfare. He knows Prim. He knows Katniss's family. She knows she's going to be a healer. It's not far to conclude that his creation of this bomb will be used on them one day.
No. And I think aren't the bombs disguised as aid packages as well?
Yeah, it's really sad.
Which then you're not telling me that you don't know this is meant for the healers. And you're not telling me I know Prim's not meant to be there, right? Because she's supposed to be too young for it, but she's the head of her class and she wants to help in wartime, and she's obviously good at this. Even if Gale's gonna turn around and say, oh, I didn't know it would be Prim, I just knew it would be other healers, that is still equally as messed up.
Yeah, I guess we'll get into that more in our Mockingjay episodes, in Gale's Mockingjay episode. Stay tuned for how we dissect those disastrous moral implications and ethics.
It's gonna be a doozy.
Anyway, on to the next theory, Rachel.
I would like to say that I was gonna end on a high note, and I haven't. I have ended on a dud note. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm so sorry for what I'm about to do to you. Okay, so I pulled this exact thing from Reddit. Okay, so Redditor, Turbo Tortoise, thank you. Thank you so much for this theory. So, on a similar vein to the previous theory, Turbo Tortoise has written the theory that District 13 bombed the District 8 hospital in Mockingjay, not the Capitol.
Okay, why?
And they give evidence for their theory. So they say, first of all, District 13 believes that everyone must have a function in society. The lives of 13 citizens are highly monitored. They have a schedule they must follow at all times, unless there's extreme circumstances. Even calorie intake's monitored. Everyone wears hand-me-down clothing. They have a clear value of strict rationing of resources. District 13 would have no real use for hospital patients, especially since they are in no condition to work or fight for the rebellion. Turbo Tortoise believes that District 13 saw them as a waste of resources after the propaganda shoot. They mention about a character making a remark after the District 8 hospital bombing, how the capital has no use for broken slaves or something like that, and District 13 wouldn't either.
Okay.
Secondly, they cite that District 13 obviously does something very similar, with the hovercraft painted with the capital seal for the bomb in the capital that we have just mentioned, to make the capital seem evil. Now, then it would make sense that District 13 would bomb the hospital too, for the same propaganda purposes. It's also mentioned that the downed hovercraft that Katniss or Gale shot down had the capital seal too. Yes, the capital would have had the seal on its hovercraft, but District 13 could have put it on their own hovercraft to fool everyone else, like they did with the Capitol bombing with where Prim dies. Finally, now I'm less inclined with this paragraph. Obviously, it makes sense to me. But finally, Katniss's commanders were also against Katniss doing anything to stop the bombing. Instead, they wanted her to go back to a bunker and wait out the attack. Now, while this could have been done because Katniss is too valuable an asset to risk getting killed, which is what I think personally, I don't think anyone else was aware of it. I think this would have stayed higher level classified if it was the plan. But I think it could also be because of how they knew she was a good soldier and could easily down the hovercraft with the arrows that they had given her. This is a girl who's been hunting her whole life and survived 2 Hunger Games. They feel like if District 13 really did care about the safety of Katniss, they wouldn't have sent her to 8 in the first place.
Okay.
And they wouldn't have sent her to the capital either. Rather, they would have done the propaganda back at 13 using special effects and a green screen.
Which they tried to do.
They did try and do that. And then Katniss's superiors were also angry at her for intervening, and Haymitch even considered implanting a chip into Katniss's ear. They also said that they think it was Snow who said that he was the one who bombed the hospital in the movie, but they change a lot of things in the movies. Yeah. So I don't believe the final bit. I think they are worried about Katniss's safety, not because they're worried about her being alive as a human. They're worried about her being alive as the symbol of the rebellion. So I don't think that they would have stopped her from downing the aircraft because it was a District 13 hovercraft, but I do think it would be plausible. What do you think?
Well, I was about to say, I would hope that District 13 was above committing a war crime and bombing a hospital. But then I just remember. I know, but I remembered. Oh yeah, well they weren't against killing innocent children. So really, that's
with
kind
aid,
of on
with bombs
the
disguised as aid, and also killing their own healthcare workers.
Yeah, you know? so then I'm like, well then no, they're really not above bombing a hospital. And then I'm like, well, have they done that so they can get better propos from Katniss and cite an emotional response because they previously had a conversation not that long before that saying they get a better response out of Katniss when she's triggered into an emotional response when they talked about Primrose and the Reaping. And now I'm like, oh my god, did they bomb Capital 8 Hospital?
For the propaganda shoot.
Yeah.
For the shoot.
Yeah.
So and then that final line of it as well, of the Reddit post from our lovely Turbo Tortoise. Also cracking name, by the way. The final line obviously about how Snow claims responsibility in the movies. I think Snow would claim responsibility anyway because he values fear over hope. So he wants to be brutal and cruel and show no mercy. Even if he didn't bomb the hospital and District 13 did, he would say that the Capitol did because he's literally just then got to be cruel and vindictive without having to actually lift a finger. So that bit itself wouldn't even prove the theory false, even if he's turned around the books and said, yeah, I'm the one who did it, because of course he'd say he did it. He wouldn't want to admit to the rest of Panem that District 13 has a one-up on them and did something to them. And I actually can totally see Coin doing this. I really can.
I can see Coin doing that, and we'll get into that a bit more when we do our Coin episode for Mockingjay, which I'm sure will have some serious things to say about this woman.
Oh, we will.
But I don't know. In the book, he doesn't admit responsibility for it, right?
He doesn't. I think he still would.
He says sort of he pretty much very much hints to the fact that District 13 dropped the bombs when he's speaking to Katniss at the end, and I don't know if he would admit that. I think he's too much of a mind messer, and he'd want to kind of add to the list of things that the Capitol have done in Katniss's brain. But then I know the film does take it a different way. I
think the difficult thing to decide one way or the other with this is that they would both do it.
Yeah, that's the problem,
the Capitol
right?
and 13 would both do it. And obviously we're going to get into the Mockingjay episodes and talk about how District 13 is just as bad as the Capitol. Because if you don't already know that, they are. And if you don't believe that, you have the wrong opinion. I'm sorry, you do.
Okay.
It'll be interesting to figure out by the time we have done the Mockingjay episodes, even when we get to the end of the Hunger Games and we've done the prequels as well. It might be interesting to revisit some of these theories and see if we now believe any of them or disagree with any of them, if our opinions have changed or if our opinions have solidified. Depending on other bits of evidence that we can bring in once we've done our big deep dives. But that is all of the theories. I am sorry that we ended on a dud note. I should have planned this better. I went chronologically, but really I should have planned this better. Then we could have ended on a high note, like Gale bashing or something. I don't know.
It's fine. I think we've ended on a pretty heavy note, but I think it's something I definitely want to hear people's opinions on. So if you could tell us if you think that District 13 was actually in charge of the bombing on the District 8 hospital, I'd be very interested to hear your opinions on that one. Because I think that doesn't fully change things.
It doesn't change anything,
but I think it does add a different layer maybe to some of the characters. So if you want to let us know what you think, that would be cool. And then next week, Rachel, on our kind of mid-season break content, what are we getting into? What are we sharing with everyone?
We have taken some inspiration from the fact that we obviously got Haymitch's story, and we've obviously got Snow's story from the prequels that have since been released from the original series. And obviously there are murmurings of other characters' stories of things we would like to see. So we have taken inspiration and we are dealing with, or I guess exploring, as the case may be, top side character stories we want to see. So this is anyone at all from the main trilogy that we haven't already heard more about and we want to hear more about.
Oh, cool. Well,
so I have 4, you have 4, and cool. This will be really interesting.
So to join us next week while we get into that, guys, and who knows, maybe we'll get one if we can convince Suzanne Collins enough.
Even like a short story collection I'd be down for, because I have so many questions and I want so many answers. But yes, next week.
Come and join us next week. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to our podcast, and don't forget to let us know your thoughts on all of our potential assholes.
No matter what platform you're listening to us on, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, upvote and all that stuff.
If you like what we do and want to find out more, all of our platforms are listed in the description or show notes. We're a 2-person team, so any support or feedback is always greatly received.
Tune in next time to Once Upon a Red Flag. District 13 is just as bad as the Capitol. Because if you don't already know that, they are. And if you don't believe that, you have the wrong opinion. I'm sorry, you do.
Okay.